Allan Aguirre with your Incorruptible 2-minute warning. And this week we've been talking about grumbling, Exodus 14 being our basic premise. And we've been talking about how grumbling isn't just you going rah, 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 but it's a frame of mind. It's an attitude. It's a state of being. It's a heart, HEART issue that it's actually a demonic spirit, and it actually will manifest in various ways. That's what we're talking about. We're continuing from yesterday, from Psalm, I believe, 106. When you have this issue, when this is an actual issue, because this defines people, it you think differently, you do things or you don't do things. You know what I'm saying? It's not just something you going meh, 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 meh. It actually impacts how you do life. And even to the extent I mentioned yesterday that you will complain about being in a good situation because you just can't see past the demonic spirit of grumbling that's over you. Paul says the premise of this book that grumbling was one of the reasons that Israel was killed in the desert. So back to the Psalm. They forgot God, Israel, their Savior, who had done great things in Egypt, wondrous works in the land of Ham, and awesome deeds by the Red Sea. Therefore he said he would destroy them, had not Moses, his chosen one, stood in the breach before him to turn away his wrath from destroying them. Then they despise the pleasant land, having no faith in his promise. There you go. They murmured in their tents, and they did not obey the voice of the Lord. Therefore he raised his hand and swore to them that he would make them fall in the wilderness, and would make their offspring fall among the nations, scattering them among the lands. Then they yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. This is a huge thing that happened. And ate sacrifices offered to the dead. They provoked the Lord to anger with their deeds, and a plague broke out among them. Paul says something like 24,000 died. Then Phinehas stood up and intervened, and the plague was stayed. And that was counted to him as righteousness, Phinehas, from generation to generation forever. They angered him at the waters of Meribah, and it went ill with Moses on their account, for they made his spirit bitter, and he spoke rashly with his lips. This is going to stop. This is going to... my timer is going to go off in 8 seconds, and I want to finish this, so I'm going to put it in here. Sorry, I'm breaking my own rules. I think I can do that. They angered him at the waters of Meribah, and it went ill with Moses on their account, for they made his spirit bitter, and he spoke rashly with his lips. They did not destroy the peoples, as the Canaanites, as the Lord commanded them, but they mixed with the nations and learned to do as they did. Can't do that. You can't mix. Syncretism. We talk about this all the time. They served their idols, of the Canaanite idols, which became a snare to them. They sacrificed their sons and their daughters to the demons. They poured out innocent blood, the blood of all their sons and daughters, whom they sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus they became unclean by their acts and played the whore in their deeds. Part of Israel coming to this horrific state is the spirit of grumbling, discontentment, bitterness, resentment, anger. Psalm 106, verse 7 through 39. That's what we just read. And a lot of these points that David is talking about in this psalm, we touch on in this 52-week devotional. I'm not trying to sell a book. I'm just letting you know. We touch on a lot of this in this resource. That's your 2-minute warning.
The views and opinions expressed during our broadcasts are solely those of the broadcast producers, hosts, and/or guests, etc., and are not necessarily the views or opinions of the Travelog Network, its sponsors, or affiliates.